ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तम् गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणम् तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सूत्रार्थो वर्ण्यते यत्र
सूत्रार्थो वर्ण्यते यत्र
वाक्यैः सूत्रानुकारिभिः
वाक्यैः सूत्रानुकारिभिः
स्वपदानि च वर्ण्यन्ते
स्वपदानि च वर्ण्यन्ते
भाष्यं भाष्यविदो विदुः।
भाष्यं
भाष्यविदो विदुः।
यम् आत्मानम् एवं पश्यति
यम् आत्मानम् एवं पश्यति
येषोऽनुरात्मा चेतसा वेदितव्यः।
येषेनुरात्मा चेतसा वेदितव्यः।
यस्मिन् प्राणः पञ्चधा संविवेश
यस्मिन् प्राणः पञ्चधा संविवेश
प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानाम्
प्राणैः
प्राणैश्चित्तं
चित्तं
सर्वं
सर्वभूतं प्रजानाम्
यस्मिन् विशुद्धे विभवत्येष आत्मा
यस्मिन्
यस्मिन्
विशुद्धे
विशुद्धे
विभवत्येष आत्मा
यम् आत्मानम् एवं पश्यति यम् आत्मानम् एवं पश्यति कः ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्धसत्त्वः आत्मानम् एवं पश्यति पश्यति जानाति पश्यति जानाति अवगच्छति आत्माहम् इति पश्यति. He recognizes this Atma. Yam Atmanam, that which Atma is, Atmanam Pashyati. He sees the Atma. Seeing the Atma is knowing the Atma. Janati ityartha, Pashyati. Yam Atmanam. He sees the Atma. Kaha, in the previous mantra we saw. Vishuddha Sattvaha, Jnana Prasadena. Saha. Saha Atmanam Pashyati. Evam. Evam Katam. The previous mantra said, Na Chakrusha Grigyate, Napi Vacha, Na Anyehi Indriyehi Api, Na Karmana, Na Tapasa, all are negated. Then what is left out? How he knows the Atma, how he understands the Atma. Any understanding, any knowledge has to take place only in the Buddhi, only in the Antakarana. That is why Shastra emphasizes the purity of Antakaranam. Antakarana Shuddhi. Antakaranam should be free from Ragadvesha. Bhagya Vishaya Ragadi Dvesha Kalushitam Aprasannam Ashuddham Sat Na Avabodhayati. The mind which is contaminated with Ragadvesha, polluted with Ragadvesha, cannot know the Atma. Therefore, Shuddhanta San Atmanam Pashyati Janat. Why? Because Brahma is Shuddhaha, it is Purnaha. So therefore, one has to become relatively that to know that. Shuddhaha, the mind should be free. Vikshepa should not be there. Vikshepa should be reduced. Vikshepa is caused by Ragadvesha. That is why Abhyasena Vairagyena Chigrigyate, as Bhagavan said in Gita. Abhyasaha. Abhyasaha and Vairagya. Vairagya is Vairagya takes a person outward. It takes a person for a ride. Paranchikani Vitundati. Swayam Parang Pashyati. Therefore, one has to withdraw Vairagya, withdraw the sense organ, Shama, Dhamma, all those things. And Shama Dhamma is not just withdrawing the mind, one has to convince, one has to get convinced. That's why Vairagya. It is not force, one has to get convinced that the impact of the sense objects, one has to see the sense object as it is, not having Shobhana Adhyasa, not superimposing the values which it doesn't have, doesn't enjoy. So therefore, objectivity, Vairagya. So therefore, Raga Dvesha Ragita. Shuddhanta Karana, Shuddhanta Karanam, the Shuddha Antakarane eva, this knowledge happens. So Antakaranam, only in the mind. Any knowledge has to take place, therefore, only in the mind. Atma is not, otherwise it is not possible. It is not an object. It doesn't have any of the attributes. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Atma is Ashabdam, Asparasham, Arupam, Avyayam, Arasam, Agandham. And it is Anadi, Anantam. Etadadresham, Agragim, Agotram, Avarnam, Achakshotram, Dapani Mundaka itself we have seen. So it is not a thing can be known because it doesn't have any attributes. And in the very previous to this mantra, we saw Birgachata Divyam Achintya Rupam. Achintyam it is. But also to be noted, it is Birgata and Sukshmata Sukshmataram. Two contradictory words were used. Birgata at the same time Sukshma. Sukshmat Sukshmataram Vivati. Subtler than the subtlest. Subtler than the subtler. Subtle than the subtler. When Atma is subtlest, there is nothing other subtle than Atma. Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam. The previous mantra, that is seventh mantra. Birgacha Taddivyam Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam. Inconceivable. Why it is inconceivable? Because it is Sukshma, Ati Sukshma. So, therefore, you cannot conceive, you cannot think of Atma as you conceive any other object. So, therefore, it is Achintya, Achintya Rupam. And if you remember, we saw the Vashakara said, Chintaitum na shakyate. Swayam Prabham, it is Anindriya Gocharam, Vashakara said in this mantra. It is Swayam Prabham, Anindriya Gocharam. It is Swayam Prabham, Anindriya Gocharam. Ayam Anindriya Gocharam. Therefore, Chintaitam na shakyate. Rupam iti. Therefore, it cannot be conceived. Sense organs bring in sense objects, the data with regard to the sense objects, data of the sense objects, that only the mind conceive of. But here, na chakshusha girgyate, na anyeki. Then katam girgyate. Therefore, it is only manasa eva, chetasa eva. What chetasa? Not prakrita manasa, it is samskrita manasa, samskrita chetasa. But there is a statement in the other Shruti, Taittiriya Shruti. Yatho vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. It seems to be contradictory. Manasa saha aprapya yatho vacho nivartante. It returns back, it comes back. Like the ball thrown onto the wall, it bounces back. So without able to objectify, without able to know it, returns back. Then the two statements, the Shrutis of the statements of the two Shrutis seems to be contradictory. That is why we say Shastrajñopi Brahmanveshanam Swatantriya and na kuryat. Because contradictions are there. It's a really contradiction you have to see. Taittiriya Upanishad says, but the context and what does that we have to understand that what Vashakara says. Cannot be known as an object. Yato vacho nivartante. Words fail to describe that. Words fail to describe. Words can define only that padartha words means Shabda. So every word has its corresponding, the word means Padam. So therefore every word has its corresponding Padartha, the object. That is why we say word and meaning. Nama Rupa. Apple is a word. Corresponding Padartha is the object apple. So when we say the word, when we utter the word, the object corresponding to the word Padartha comes to the mind immediately. So Pada and Padartha goes together always. Padam and Padartha. So every Padam must be enjoying a Padartha. That is why Pada is there. That is what Pravritti Nimitta. Shabda Pravritti Nimitta. What about Atma? Consciousness. When we say Atma or consciousness or awareness, what do we think of that? Then what is corresponding the Rupa or the Padartha comes to mind? The mind is nothing comes. You just cannot think of consciousness, Atma. Atma is Atma. You cannot form a Rupa, a Padartha, because it's not a Padartha. It is not an object, but the word. So if at all there is a word without pointing to any object, any vastu, like that of other vastu in the world, that is only Atma. That is why it is na veditavyaha manasa nivartante. Here chetasa veditavyaha. So it is not contradiction, cannot be known like any other object, but it has to be known. Then since it is to be known as me, that any knowledge since has to take place only in the antakarnam, therefore chetasa eva veditavyaha iti. It cannot be known as one of the object. Yato vacho nivartanti aprapya manasa saha. But to be known as the person, myself, Swarupa of me, that has to be known only in the mind. We don't have any other karana. So therefore, it is not contradiction. Like the mind object define the objects and knows the object, this Atma cannot be known. That is the meaning. But the Atma has to be known only through the mind, but not in the way we know the objects of the world. Chetasa eva, therefore Chetasa eva veditavyaha. Manasa eva idam aptavyam. In Kathopanishad we have seen Manasa eva idam aptavyam. And here Chetasa eva veditavyaha yeshaha anuhu atma iti. And therefore only we talk about the manas, the antakarnam should be shuddha. It should be free from ragadvesha, vikshepa rahitaha. Ragadvesha causes vikshepa. Not only vikshepa, it causes all sorts of emotional issues, problems with that. The Swarupa ourselves cannot be known. Therefore, Chetasa Shuddhanta Karanena Veditavyaha. Only by Shuddhanta Karana, this Atma can be known. Chetasa, since it is Chetasa, Manasa Veditavya, therefore only the Atma should be, therefore only Antakaranam should be made relatively pure. And mind, if you take mind is, if it compared to other means of knowledge, mind is subtle. Mind is subtle and mind is pervasive. But more pervasive than mind and more subtle is the Atma. That's why Anuhu is subtle. But Atma is Anoraniyam. It is subtler than the subtlest, even subtler than the mind. Because it is subtle and all pervasive, the Atma doesn't enjoy any attributes. Therefore, it cannot be known by any other means. Atma has to be known only through the Shuddha Antakarana. Because it is not an object, it is myself. So therefore, it has to be understood only in the mind. The only means, the only medium, what we have to know the Atma is the mind. With what we have only we can know Atma. ruling out all other possibilities. Na chakshushā grigyate, na vācā, na karmana, na tapasa. Then what is failed? That is why the previous mantra negated. To emphasize, only by the mind, Atma can be known. And that too, the mind should be pure. Vishuddha sattvaha jnana prasadena. So the connections can be clearly seen. Eshaha anuhu. This Atma is anuhu. Anoraniyan, Magato Magiyan, and Brigacha Tadidya Machintya Rupam, Sukshma Sukshmataram. Why here it is said anuhu? Only not, why not Brigata? Because this Atma to be known, that is, because it is anuhu, it is subtle, it cannot be known by any other, it cannot be known by any other method, any other medium, only by mind alone. Only by mind alone. Atma is anuhu. Atma is anuhu means it, that is subtle. Subtle means subtle than Akasha. Even Akasha, compared to Akasha, mind is subtle. Akashasya. Akashasyapi. Akasha is Akasha, the Tanmatra, if you take, is Akasha is subtlest. Tanmatra, if you take Tanmatra. If it is Panchikaranam, the mind is, even compared to the Akasha, the mind is subtle. So therefore, but with Akasha, you cannot know. Even though Akasha is subtle. What Upadhi we enjoy, that only we can know. We enjoy only Sharira Manasangata. Shariram ruled out, Indriyani ruled out, the Manas only left out. And this Atma is Anuhu. Anuhu means it is free from Upadhi, it doesn't have any Upadhi. If it is with Upadhi, then it must be enjoying all the attributes, Shabda Splasha Rupa Rasadanga can be known, but it is not. It doesn't have any dimension. Dimensionless Atma. Therefore, when only we say it is subtlest, Anuhu, even though Anuhu is subtle, there is nothing subtle than Atma. It is subtlest. Why we say Akasha is subtle? Because it has the least the attributes. That's why Akasha is subtle. Prithvi is grossest because it has more attributes. And mind is subtle. Therefore, only mind can conceive of even Akasha, conceive of Prithvi. Prithvi, of course, it is grossest. Akasha is also conceived. Achintyam. Sorry, it is Chintyam. Akasha is Chintyam. Atma is Akashasyapi Ati Sukshmaha. Therefore, that which is relatively subtle, that has to be employed to know. That is only the mind. So, therefore, Chetasa Veditavyaha. And mind, in the mind alone, in the Antakranam alone, all the knowledge takes place. Therefore, this Atma, which is myself, has to be known only through the mind. And here it can be noted, Anuhu, why? Anuhu meaning, the word usage of the word Anuhu, why it is used, the meaning, this Atma is Anuhu subtle, it is the Karanam, and therefore it pervades the Karyam. Because it pervades the Karyam, it is subtle and Vyapi, Sarva Vyapi, more pervasive. It is ever not more pervasive, it is all pervasive. It is all pervasive, not more pervasive. Atma is all pervasive. Everything is Atma. Mind is Sukshma. It is not all pervasive. It has pervasiveness, relative pervasiveness. It has more pervasiveness compared to the other means of knowledge. Relatively more pervasive compared to other means of knowledge. Atma is all pervasive. Therefore, the all pervasive and therefore Sukshma Atma, Anuhu Atma can be known only by the relatively pervasive, relatively Sukshma Antakarana, Upadhi. Antakaranam is Upadhi. Even the knowledge of Atma has to happen only the Upadhi, Antakarana. It is not something new, it is known. Atma is not completely unknown. It is not Abhanam, it is Bhanam Meva. Therefore, only it can be known. If it is something very subtlest and new, then Atma cannot even know that. Because it is oneself, it is already Siddha Vishaya, already it is Prapta Vishaya. The Ajnana which covers the Atma, the notion, that alone has to be removed. That alone has to go. When it goes, Atma shines as it is. That is what is knowing is. That is what knowing is. There is no knowing like in the case of the other objects. The objects what we know. Not in that way. Not in that way it is known. We need to understand here how an object is perceived. Any object, any vastu in the world. The perception of a vastu, an object. How does perception take place? How does perception take place? Perception of an object. You see a vastu, for example, an apple. How do you know that it is an apple? First, you have to operate your sense organ, eyes. Through the eyes, all the sense organs are compared to the apertures, the hole, through which the mind travels. The mind travels. The vritti, mind meaning the vritti. Vritti is also jada, so vritti. So the object is there. First is the object is pervaded by the vritti. First is the object is pervaded by the vritti. The object is pervaded by the vritti, then the shape of the object is assumed by the buddhi. The buddhi, only knowledge takes place, therefore, the buddhi goes outside the form of the vritti, and the buddhi assumes the shape of the object. Suppose if it is an apple, then it assumes the shape of the object. A particular modification takes place in the buddhi. Modification. The modification happens in the buddhi and the antakaranam. Buddhi meaning antakaranam. The modification in the antakaranam. That is what we call vritti. The modification in the antakaranam, that is in the buddhi, in keeping with the object, is what is called vritti. Corresponding change happens in the antakaranam when you perceive an object. When you see an apple, there is a modification. When you see a vriksha, corresponding change in the buddhi. You have the vritti of a vriksha. When you see a parvata, a mountain, the corresponding modification takes place in the buddhi, in the antakaranam. That's called vritti vyapti. Buddhi, the antakaranam. I use buddhi because in buddhi, it is nichayatmika, that is a buddhi. Or it can use antakaranam. Antakaranam, buddhi, all same only. Antakaranam, when it ascertains what the object is, it becomes buddhi. The antakaranam assumes the shape of the object. The antakaranam, when you see a pot, the antakaranam assumes the shape of the pot, which is called ghatakara vritti. Gata akara vritti. Vritti are nothing but the thought modifications. Modifications of the thought in the antakaranam. The perception of gata results in gatakara vritti in the antakaranam. The perception of pata results in patakara vritti in the antakaranam. The perception of mata results in matakara vritti in the antakaranam. The perception of vrikshakara vritti in the antakaranam. Therefore, that that vritti, happens. So the object is pervaded by the thought. That is called vritti vyapti. This is a first step in knowing an object. First step. In the first step, the ajnanam which covers the object is removed. Ajnanam which covers the object for me, for the individual, for the subject, it is removed. I operate my eyes. I see the vastu, the apple there. When I see, the ajnanam with regard to the object is gone. First, it is vritti covers the object. Antakaranam assume the shape of the object. It's called vritti vyapti, pervading. How it assumes pervading the object. It's called thought pervasion. Thought pervades the object, and that is called the pervading, covering, enveloping. It's called vyapti, and thoughts pervade the object. Therefore, it is called vritti vyapti. It's called vritti vyapti. The vritti, the modification of vritti happening the antakaranam corresponding to the object is called vritti vyapti. The vritti covering the object. This is the first operation takes place when we operate our sense organ. This only removes the avarana, the ajnanam covering the object. But the knowledge has to take place. That is second step. Second step is this object which is enveloped by the vritti. This object which is enveloped by the vritti, now it is illumined by the chaitanyam. That is what we call chidabhasa. In the chidabhasa, chit abhasa, that is reflected consciousness. This object, the object contained in the vritti is illumined by chit abhasa, chidabhasa. Because we need upadhi, that's why we say chidabhasa. Of course, it is chit, consciousness. Consciousness manifesting through the antakaram, that is what is called chidabhasa. So in the vritti is illumined now. The vritti comes to light, therefore you know it. That is called palavyapti. So vritti vyapti, palavyapti. First is the avaranam covering the object is removed, that is vritti vyapti. The first operation takes place. Second thing is the knowledge of the object takes place, that is palavyapti. The object which is covered by the vritti, enveloped by the vritti, is illumined by chit, chaitanya, consciousness. This chidabhasa, in the chidabhasa. Chit abhasa, pervaded by chidabhasa. That is called palavyapti. Therefore, the object is known. But this happens so fast. Therefore, it is not, we don't recognize the two operations. Shastra explains it as the two steps, in 2 steps, vritti vyapti and palavyapti. In vritti vyapti, the avaranam is removed. In palavyapti, the object is illuminated. It means the object comes to light. Object is known as what it is. That is palavyapti. Vritti vyapti, palavyapti. So in every cognition, these two operations, the knowledge happens in these 2 steps. 2 operations takes place. Vritti vyapti, palavyapti. Recognition of any object takes place by these 2 operations, vritti vyapti, palavyapti. In every perception, every cognition, vritti vyapti, palavyapti is there. Whether it is shabda vishaya or rupa vishaya, rasa vishaya, gandha vishaya, sparsha vishaya, any vishaya, vritti vyapti, palavyapti. You have a book, the book is seen. First, the The vritti pervades the book. The vritti pervades the book, and now the book is enveloped by the vritti. Then the vritti is illumined. The vritti containing that object is illumined. Therefore, I know this is a book. That is how the knowledge takes place. This is how Vedanta, the knowledge process is explained. Vritti vyapti, pala vyapti. So therefore, for pala vyapti is the knowledge of the object takes place. The object is illumined by chitta, and the knowledge is gained in the antakaranam, happens in the antakaranam for the object, for any object. For any object to perceive, it must be available for perception. It must be available for the perception, indriyas. Even memory also, sometimes without any object, you think of an event, past event, what is stored. That becomes the object. That becomes the object for the antakaranam. The vritti envelops that particular memory, and the knowledge of that takes place when recalling. That is also a cognition. Like any other object cognition, the cognition of a thought. The thought is there. The thought is enveloped by the thought of the past memory. The memory is the object. So an incident, what happened in the past, that comes to light. The knowledge of that happens. It's almost similar, but not exactly. Anyway, that we are not interested in that. We are interested in knowing Atma, whether it is similar to that of the object knowledge. What happens? What we gain in the world? Is it similar or different? That we have to know. Then only we understand this state. Jetasa veditavyaha yashaha no atma iti. So therefore, for object knowledge, any object knowledge to take place, need two operations: vritti vyapti, pala vyapti. This vritti vyapti followed by pala vyapti. Pala vyapti is the result in the form of knowing it, gaining, knowing the object, gaining the knowledge of the object, knowledge of the vastu. For gaining the knowledge of the vastu, the vritti corresponding to the vastu, the object has to happen in the antakaranam. Now, when we say tat tvam asi, Mahavakya, here tat tvam asi, you are that. This is an apple. Apple is an object. This is an apple, and apple is there. You point out at the apple and say this is an apple, then you know the cognition of the apple takes place by vritti vyapti, pala vyapti. But if I say the Guru gives upadesha, tat tvam asi. Here the word tat tvam asi, the word corresponding to the upadesha, the sentence, the modification happens in the buddhi, vritti. The vritti takes place. Aham brahmasmi vritti. Aham brahmasmi vritti. As apple vritti takes place, as ghata vritti takes place, as pata vritti takes place, similarly, when you see the object, when you see or when you hear it, similarly here, when the Guru gives upadesha, you hear tat tvam asi. When Guru says tat tvam asi, then you say aham brahmasmi. So tat tvam asi vritti or aham brahmasmi vritti. Aham brahmasmi vritti takes place. That is the words, the sentence, Aham Brahma. Aham, limitless Brahma Chaitanyam. This vritti takes place. This is called vritti vyapti. The shabda, the words are enveloped by the vritti. Vritti vyapti, because it is enveloped by vritti. That's why it's called vyapti, vritti vyapti. Now, after vritti vyapti, then what happens? After vritti vyapti, what is the object of this vritti vyapti? What is the object? Aham Brahma Asmi. The content of the vritti is Aham Brahma. It is not something other than me. It is not an apple, or it is not a vriksha, it is not a kata, pata, etc. If it is some object, then palavyapti will be there. Here it is Aham. How will you objectify this Aham? How the mind can objectify this Aham? How the chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is chit abhasa. Reflected consciousness. The reflected consciousness, how the consciousness, the knowledge of the consciousness as an object, as a pala take place, not possible. The content of the vritti is aham. It is not like the object, any other object. Aham Brahmasmi. That vritti vyapti, the content of the vritti is aham Brahma. Aham is it's called, we call akandakara vritti. Because it is akanda, there are no two. The object corresponding to this vritti, in this case, it is akanda, it is myself. It is myself. The object in the case of ghatakara vritti is gata. Gata vritti vyapti, there the object is gata. Here it is, the vritti vyapti is this aham, akanda, Brahma, aham Brahma. Brahma is without any limitation. That without limitation is what is, unlimited is what is Brahma. So akanda, the vritti what here is akandakara vritti. The content of the vritti is akandakara vritti. The content of the gata vritti is gata, the pot. Here akandakara vritti. Now, as in the case of ghatakara vritti, corresponding pala vyapti is there, but here what could be the pala vyapti? Here the vritti vyapti removes the ajnanam with regard to the atma. The ajnanam being that aham, that I different from Brahma. Aham Ishvaraha Bhinnaha iti, that ajnanam is removed by this vritti, vyapti, vritti jnanam, vritti. That ajnanam is removed, therefore it reveals the oneness. Where is the palavyapti? There is no palavyapti. To have palavyapti, the object, the content of the vritti must be different from the subject. To have palavyapti, the content of the vritti must be different from me. Like in the case of gata, different from me, therefore palavyapti. Here it is myself. Therefore palavyapti is not possible, not required, not required, not possible. It is. The content of the vritti is aham Brahma. So therefore, aham Brahma are two different things. No. Aham Brahma. I am that Brahma which is Purnaha Akandaha. Therefore, Akanda Akara Vritti. Therefore, this Vritti is called Akanda Akara Vritti. This Vritti is again if it is illumined by Chaitanya, it's a problem. Aham Brahma is how Brahma can be further. Brahma is not an object, right? Therefore, there is no palavyapti. Because the content of the vritti is myself, therefore, there is no palavyapti. Palavyapti not there, like in the case of the other object knowledge. Other are object knowledge. All the knowledges are object knowledge. But this knowledge is about myself. Therefore, there is no palavyapti. Only vritti vyapti, vritti vyapti is vritti jnanam. So therefore, chetasa veditavyaha means, here the Shruti says chetasa veditavyaha. In some other place, like in Taittiriya, we say manasa aprapya nivartante. Yatovajo nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Therefore, there in the Taittiriya Shruti, the Vakya, manasa na veditavyaha, meaning it cannot be known as an object because this knowledge doesn't have palavyapti. Object has palavyapti, therefore it can know. Therefore, that is the difference. Here, this knowledge of Atma, unlike the knowledge of any other object, this takes place by vritti vyapti alone. There is no palavyapti. In all other knowledge, there is palavyapti. Here there is no palavyapti because it is myself. In all other, with regard to all other knowledge, there is corresponding vritti, akara vritti, that object akara vritti. Object akara vritti is the knowledge of the object. Here, what is the object? Here, Akhanda Brahma is the we can call as an object. It is myself. Therefore, you cannot call even an object. Akhanda Akara. For Akhanda Akara vritti. Therefore, there is no palavyapti in this. This what is conveyed by this statement. Chetasa veditavyaha. Like that vritti jnanam, that is, that jnanam has to happen. That jnanam, the jnanam happens by vritti vyapti, no palavyapti. Therefore only we say it is achintyam. It is achintyam. In the previous mantra, we said Brigachata Divyam Achintya Rupam. What is achintyam? Not conceivable. Not conceivable like that of the objects of the world. Because they have palavyapti, therefore you can conceive of. But here there is no palavyapti. Therefore it is achintyam. Even though it is achintyam, but still jnanam has to happen. Jnanam of this, jnanam of Atma it happens only in the antakaranam. Therefore chetasa eva veditavyaha. That is the meaning. Even though Atma is achintyam, yadyapi achintyaha Atma, tatapi chetasa eva veditavyaha. The difference between the object knowledge and Atma Jnanam is, in the case of object knowledge, that is vritti vyapti and palavyapti. In the case of Atma Jnanam, it is only removal of Ajnanam. It is only avarana. Avarana is removed. The ignorance is removed. There is no special Jnanam. There is no unknown knowledge, unknown object knowledge happening. It is myself. It is known. It is Bhanam. The Ajnanam is removed. As Ajnanam with regard to an apple is removed by first process by vritti vyapti, then that avaranam is removed by vritti vyapti and palavyapti takes place. Then only object knowledge takes place. Whereas here, the removal of the veil, the Ajnanam itself is Jnanam. There is no palavyapti here. That alone gives the result that Agam Brahma, that knowledge results. So that's the difference between the object knowledge and object akara vritti and akandakara vritti. Atma Jnanam, the knowledge of Atma happening in the antakaram in the form of the vritti, that vritti is called akandakara vritti. Because it is not an object, it is akanda Brahma. Therefore, it's called akanda akara vritti. It's not any particular knowledge. We cannot particularize Brahma. It is akanda, advitiya. Therefore, akanda akara vritti. That's why we use the words expression, akanda akara vritti. Because it is akanda akara vritti, if it is akanda akara vritti means it has to be, it includes me, it is me. Not includes me, it is me. It is myself. Akanda is total. The total, when we say total, then what about me? I am the total. I am the total. So Akhandakara Vritti. So therefore, for Atma Jnanam, in Atma Jnanam, there is only recognition of Atma. It is completely, if it is Abhanam, like in the case of a Vastu, the apple, then Palavyapti is required. But it is Bhanam. Bhane api Abhanam. Therefore, Ajnanam is that for the removal of Ajnanam only we need this Upadesha, the Shabda, the Upadesha, which is in the form of the words, which coming from the Guru, Mahavakya, Tatu Tvamasi. Hearing that, knowledge happens. What knowledge happens? Knowledge of an object. It is knowledge of you. You are not an object. Therefore, no Palavyapti here. But knowledge has to happen. Where in the Antakarnam. Therefore, Chetasa Yava Veditavyaha. Achintyaha api Atma, Chetasa Yava Veditavyaha. So the contradiction is now is reconciled. Aprapya Manasa Saha, and here Chetasa Veditavyaha, how it is reconciled. That is why we require the Sampradaya to explain. So that's Yadyapi Atma Achintyaha. There is no other way. We have to know only by Antakarnam. Achintyaha is not able to conceive of like any other vastu, any other object. That is Achintyaha. You cannot make that, you cannot make Atma into an object vritti. It is myself. Therefore, there are no special jnanam. It is already known. That's why we say Siddha Vishaya. Apple jnanam is not Siddha Vishaya. You have to make effort to know it. You have to operate your indriyas. And Antakaram, the mind also should back up the indriya. So therefore it is not Bhanam. It is Abhanam only. All other knowledge are Abhanam. But Atma is Bhane api Abhanam. How can it be Bhane api Abhanam? Known at the same time, not known. It means Ajnana. Therefore, Vritti Vyapti does the job. Phala Vyapti not there. And that is what is indicated by the statement here. Manasa Chetasa Veditavyaha Vritti Vyapti. This jnanam is, it is Upadesha Janya Vritti it is. Guru Shastra Upadesha Janya Vritti. That is what is jnanam. That is what Vritti Vyapti is. Vritti Vyapti is the words of the Shastra and the Guru which generates knowledge in the form of removal of the Ajnana. It doesn't produce new knowledge, it removes the Ajnana. That is Vritti Vyapti. That does the job. And Phala Vyapti, there is no Phala Vyapti because it is myself. So it is Akhanda Akara Vritti. When we say Akhanda Akara Vritti, we should not ask for what is a Phalam. What is the object of the Akhanda Akara Vritti? It is ridiculous. If we say Gata Akara Vritti, then Gata is the object of the Vritti. Akhanda Akara Vritti means Akhanda is Ahankara Vritti. Ahankara means not in the limited sense. Aham is Aham Vritti. Aham Vritti is all the time it is there. Aham iti. That Aham alone is mixed up with Upadi and therefore taken to be always is with associated with this Sharira Manasangata. I am so and so. Now that Vivichya Nyatavyam Katam Guru Shastra Upadeshena. Guru Shastra, that the Vakya gives knowledge. What does it give? It gives knowledge. It has the words. The words are meaning. The meanings are the meaning, the understanding the meaning is understanding you. So where is the palam there? Therefore, no palam vyapti there. That is the meaning. Chetasa veditavyaha. So then Eshaha Anuhu Anuhu Atma. Eshaha is referring to Atma. Prakrita Vishaya is Atma, Akshara, Brahma, Atma. It is Anuhu. Chetasa Veditavyaha should be known only through the Chetasa, Manas, Chetas, Sakaranta. Veditavyaha. Yasmin pranaha panchada samvivesha. Now, Chetasa Veditavyaha, fine. Then, where this Atma should be recognized? Yasmin, in the Chetas it's okay, in the Antakarana. Through the Antakarana, this Atma, Veditavyaha, fine. Now, this Antakaranam will function. The Antakaranam will function only when the person is alive. Antakaranam, where is the Antakaranam? It is in the, it's a part of the Sukshma Shariram. It is in the body. So the body has to be, the Sthula Shariram has to be active. When we say it should, the knowledge happens in the Antakaranam, therefore the Antakaranam is part of Sukshma Sharira, it should be in the body means, not in the dead body. Dead body doesn't have Sukshma Sharira. Therefore, that body in which Sukshma Shariram is active, it means a live person is alive. That's why Yasmin Pranaha Panchada Samvivesha. In which body? Pranaha. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. All the Pancha Prana doing their job properly. Prana happening properly. Apana. If Apana doesn't function, it's a problem. Immediately you have to consult the doctor. Respiratory system. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. Panchada Samvivesha. Entered. Panchada Samvivesha. Samvivesha entered. Samvivesha is litlakara. Vivesha. You can see the duplication. Vivesha. Sampurvaka Vishdhatu. Litlakara. Vivesha. Viveshataku. So entered. Samvivesha. Panchada Samvivesha. It's been Pranaha. Pranaha is Ekavacham. Therefore, we understand. Pranaha is Pancha Pranaha. Collectively, it is called Pranaha. So, that body, in that body, this Prana has entered. Panchada, fivefold way, fivefold manner. That Shariram in which the Prana has entered, it means the Prana is alive, active. That's what entered means. Not physically entering, opening the door and entering. It is active in the Shariram. In that Shariram, the Antakanam, the mind is there, and Atma is to be known. Therefore, Atma is recognized only in that Shariram where the pranas are active. Samivesha, pranas are active. Means the person is alive. The person is alive. In the dead body, this jnanam cannot take place. Why? Because prana not there. Prana not there means Antakaran not there. So this Mrita Shariram is absence of Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Shariram left the body. Therefore, dead body cannot know. If dead body also can know means then there is no problem. All the dead bodies will also get a chance of getting liberated. Doesn't happen. Sukshma Sharim leaves a Sharir body and assumes another body. That becomes alive body. Then through that body, jnana is possible. So therefore, the in the Antakaranam, which is active, which is alive in the Shariram, that only the jnanam takes place. By that only Antakaranam Manasa Eva Yashaha Atma Anuhu Veditavyaha. And Pranaishchittam Sarvamotam Prajanam. Pranaihi Chittam. Pranaihi Tritya Bhakti Chittam. Pranaihi Saha Chittam. Pranaihi Saha Chittam Sarvam Otam. Otam is pervaded. Oth of Prota we say. Pervaded. Like the warp and hoof of the thread of the cloth. The warp and hoof. Everything is pervaded by Pranaihi, along with the mind, along with the Indriya. Pranaihi, here we have to take the prana to be in there because already pranaha samivesha we told. So again Pranaihi is there. So here prana we take to be Indriya. Indriyagi saha, chittam Indriyagi saha. The mind along with the Indriyas of Prajana, all the beings. It is Sarvam Otam. Sarvam Otam, all these are pervaded by Atma, Sarvam Otam. Sarvam Otam. Yasmin Vishuddhe. Kasmin Vishuddhe. when the Antakaranam is Vishuddha, Vishuddha, Vishuddha Sattvaha, the previous mantra. Yasmin Vishuddhe, when the mind is pure, Yashaha Atma Vibhavati, this Atma shines. The Atma Vibhavati. Pranehi Chittam Sarvam Otam Prajanam. Pranehi, Prajanam, of all the beings, Sarvam. Sarvam, the Sarvam means the whole, the entire Chittam, along with the Prana, the Indriyas. Atmana Otam. It is pervaded by Atma. Everything is pervaded by Atma. The mind of the Prajana, of the beings. Here we can take Prajanam to be Manushyana, because we are talking about Jnanam. Therefore, the mind of all the people along with the sense organs, they are Atmana Otam. Otam, you have to supply Atmana Otam, pervaded by Atma. Indriya, sense organ, Pranahi, Indriya. Pranahi means Indriyahi, sense organs. And the Chittam, the mind, Antakaranam. Atmana Otam, pervaded by Otam. Of whom? Prajanam. Prajanam, Sarvam Chittam, Pranahi Saha, Atmana Otam, pervaded by Atma. Pervaded by Atma, therefore only they are alive, active. Pervaded by Atma. Even the when we say Indriyahi Saha Atmana Hotam, everything is pervaded by Atma, because everything is Atma. Therefore, the Chittam is Atma, but Atma is not Chittam. Indriyas are Atma, but Atma is not Indriya. When these are the constituents of the Sukshma Sharira. When it is present in the Shariram is active, the Shariram is alive. Therefore, in that Shariram, in the Antakaranam, this Atma is known. Therefore, Sarvam Atmana Hot. Everything is pervaded by Atma. And this question may come, everything is pervaded by Atma, then why not it is known in that dead body? That body doesn't have Sukma Sharira. In the Antakaranam only Chetasaya Veditavyaha we told. Therefore, minus Sukma Sharira, though Atma is Otam, all pervading, when it pervades this dead body also, it is also made of this Panchabhuta. Everything has come from Atma, therefore everything is Atma alone. But not known, because Antakaranam not there, Chittam not there, Prana not there. Therefore, so everything is pervaded by Chaitanyam. And in that Shariram, where the Pranas are entered, there, in the Shariram, in the mind of that Shariram, this knowledge happens. This knowledge has to be known. Chetasa Veditavyaha. How? When the mind becomes Shuddha, Yasmin Vishuddhe, Yasmin Antakarane Vishuddhe, Sattve Vishuddhe, Sati Saptami, Yeshaha Atma Vibhavati. This Atma becomes Vibhavati, evident. This Atma shines. Shine means how it is, how does it shine? The literal meaning is Atma Vibhavati means the Atma reveals itself. Atma doesn't reveal automatically by itself. When the mind is purified, Atma is revealed. This is an important thing to be noted here. There is a confusion with regard to this statement. When the Antakarna is Shuddha, Atma reveals itself. Atma reveals itself. How does it reveal itself? To whom? To whom it reveals? It's meaningless. Atma reveals its Swarupa. To whom? Atma reveals means when the mind is pure, then Atma reveals. The revelation has to happen only with the Pramana. Without minus Pramana, how that revelation happens? Guru Shastra Upadesha, the words give Jnanam. Then Atma reveals. The words produce Jnanam. The word produces ajnanam, and jnanam in the form of removing the ajnanam with regard to Atma. That's what we call vritti vyapti. Therefore, you recognize Aham Brahma Asmi. So the Atma reveals its Swarupa, meaning revealing its Swarupa only through the Shastra, the words of the Shastra, as unfolded by the teacher. Otherwise, Atma alone cannot reveal itself. Even when the mind is pure, supposing the mind is pure, if Pramana is not operated, Jnanam cannot take place. But we say when mind is pure means naturally one will get exposed to this knowledge. There is no chance of not getting exposed to knowledge when the mind is pure. So therefore, it's an expression. In the pure mind, when the mind is pure, Atma reveals itself. Eshaha Atma Vibhavati Prakashayati iti. In the Shuddhanta Karma, Atma Prakashayati. We have to supply that Prakashanam also, that the Prakashanam in the form that is knowledge, that happens with the help of the Shravanam, Pramanam iti. So this is the meaning. We'll see the Bhashya in next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavada.
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
धन्यवादः.
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 Dhanyavada.